Welcome back. I'm Dr. Stephen Ezra West, and I go by Ezra and a stage name, Dr. Ez. Tonight, I'm about to share something that I'm not used to sharing through the internet. But over the turn of 2020, there's new stuff that's come through that's a new set of instructions. So we're able to do this and allow people to see some of the work that I've been involved with for many years. And two of those things that haven't really been shared this way, there's one of them is an instant mass healing. And one of the reasons that hasn't been shared is because when nothing is physically seen, other than the before and after, and nothing is needed to be said, don't have to touch anyone, say anything, and instantly things happen. It's hard to pick that up on a camera when it's not something the camera can see or hear, except for before and after. So that's one of the reasons why. But in this particular night, we're going to do quantum activation, and we're going to include all of the positive words from the very beginning of this event tonight. Everything that's been started, the verbal and nonverbal. And it includes everything that you have been willing to add to tonight for your positive vision of future change and for yourself and others and for the planet. So in time and space, we're going to get to a point where I'm glad that you said make a, what did you call it? The mark? Bookmark for the time of where we just left off. And we're going to carry this period through. We're going to ask everyone who's listening to find the bookmark of now if it's a presentation that where you're on a replay, because the internet is evergreen. They can go and listen to it anytime after this. We're going to, for those of you who are listening live, that's great because it is the now. Those of you who are on a replay, come to the now of tonight, where we've placed this bookmark. We're doing this collectively too, to where, time and space are all happening right now. So the past and the future is all happening right now. And where we opened up portals for higher realms, and all of that is all right here, right now. So I'd like a little bit of a demonstration to show the power of some of the things we're capable of. And I'm going to do this using a word of power. I'll use more than just one word of power tonight. It's not just a word, it's a word of power. Like in the beginning was the word. And that wasn't just a word, but it was a word of power. And it contained a collective consciousness of what was put into that, of all the greatest intelligences of that time for a creation of something. And now we're in a period of time where we can collectively help recreate what this planet has been as far as the type of realm that it's been. So we're being shown more how to do this as a collective consciousness. All of our individual words, and we're going to automatically, as part of the programming that is within this inherently, is to negate, neutralize, and eliminate any of our accidental negative or whatever intentional negatives, and just replace them with their positive opposite for our individual and collective perfect divine blueprints of intelligence and energy. So that will be constant. You won't have to worry about it because it's already integrated and inherent within what's happening tonight. So there's there's something I have to also share. I'm here to also share a gift. I'm doing a few different gifts. An instant mass healing demonstration, which I've done many years. I'm just a little new to doing this, where other people are going to be able to watch now. Something that I've done for many, many, many years. And I know that there's certain results that happen every single time and other things that don't, that there are other techniques and other processes for. So, and that's fine. So that is one thing. Then I'm going to do a blessing of the creation sequence. We're going to take that and use it for everyone and everything. And everyone's going to be basically activating principles of being a bodhisattva at that point. And there's another gift that I want to share that's called blessings. I mentioned that one. That's called the laws of empowerment. And if you were to go to the .com, it's a big video docu-series. That's my 2 cents offering you of what it takes to create world peace. And it starts with how we develop at a very fundamental, basic level. And it is about mastering our thoughts and emotions, especially how we develop this way, how we develop as what's between our ears and what's in our heart is most important. So a little bit of a demo. Does anybody have any lower back pain, or anybody struggle with headaches? Yeah? Sciatic pain, raise your hands if you have sciatic pain. Anyone? I'll have a few people come up. The two that rose your hand here, you, and do you mind? But first of all, stay seated because you're perfect position. I'd like you to raise your feet, and I'm going to do a little demo. Bring them together without curling your feet in. Just take them together as close as you can get them without having to turn your ankles. And lift them up. Do you mind if I take the weight just to show something? And relax completely. So I want to put my pinkies at the bottom of the heel and just show, I don't know if you can see this. Do we have a camera that is mobile if necessary, just to get a bird's eye view of where the pinkies are here. It looks like the left side's a little short, and that's really because the right side here, my left, her right. That's because on the right side, the neck muscles are pulling a little tighter than on the left. And headaches are because a lot of them are because the neck muscles are contracting. And it's like putting a tourniquet around the neck. The blood pressure in the head goes up. The vessels expand more and more until they start to hurt. And the muscle layer around the blood vessels, arteries and veins, have a muscle layer around them, and those can also go into in contraction, which can contribute to headaches. There's other things all the factors of high blood pressure. I take part of the laws of empowerment. There's a prerequisite video called Zero Disease. It's 2 hours. It's all scripted. There's, in fact, 40 years of polishing that script is what has gone into that script. And it is what lays the science behind all healing arts and all empowerment. It's a prerequisite to all the other more advanced classes that I like to share, and that's something that I'm just giving you right now. So I don't have that time to go over all that tonight. You don't have to worry about that. When you get home, you can go watch that. It's going to take you past any other school is teaching on understanding high blood pressure. Just part of that, there's a little clip that does it within under 60 seconds. By the time we get to a certain stage, it just rattles off. And that's the elements of understanding high blood pressure, which is beyond what's currently being taught in Harvard even. So, oh, awesome. I would like to also do an intentional data transfer too. Is that okay? Now I'm going to do something through the eyes, and they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. They're not the only window to the soul, but they're a direct connection, subconscious, especially if I intend to share. It's an easy way to learn how to start communicating this way. Done. And go ahead and lift your feet again. And you notice how perfectly even they are? Now your hips just leveled off too. And this is one of the things that happens just by turning on the endocrine glands alone, which they call chakras in India or the 7 houses in China. And there are a lot of systems, masters have had ways of turning them on, and it's not something that they usually teach on day one at the beginner level. That is more of the advanced spiritual knowledge that they share with people who are already committed, shown their commitment to the practice. So my father was shown a way how to turn them on by some white Native Americans with blonde hair and blue eyes who explained they'd never shared it outside their tribe and only with their top students within their tribe. And what they were telling him is that they recognized he was also part of their tribe. He still didn't get it. I'm the family member years later who dug deep, and I found his mother and his father. He was a direct descendant of 2 different Native American tribes. On his father's side, a direct descendant of Massasoit and Samoset, which was also father and son. And on his mother's side, the men and women chiefs of Shawnee. And that's not saying that there isn't any more. They're kind of like finding a needle in the haystack. So I found also on my mother's side, my mother's mother, direct descendant of Keoki, who was Matwaka, also known as Pocahontas, Matwaka's first child, her daughter, through her first husband that was Native American, a son of one of the other chiefs, who was basically going to be the next chief of chiefs because it's a matriarchal society. When they figured out the politics, they decided to do away with him. But so that's my Native American heritage that I know of. And this thing that we just did is not what we were learning from that tribe. There was a very basic thing that they showed and their knowledge, then knowing what we knew scientifically, what those endocrine glands more are, what they do scientifically, we're able to personalize the technology for many years. We continue to learn and personalize it, and also especially knowing more how the brain works. Who else? Come on up. Will you come on up? I want to show some hips here, and we're in a good level view here of this camera. If you can face this direction, then I'll put my hands, if it's okay with you, on top of the iliac crest, which is kind of in the lower back. It's on top of the hip bones, here and here. So I'm going to be using my hands as flat as possible with those fingers, just to see if I can see which one's high or low. Do you have sciatic pain, lower back pain? Is that you? Lower back. So here we go. And, oh yeah. Can you guys see? Okay. So that's off pretty far. In fact, I can hardly believe it. So, mind if I check again? I want to just really make sure. Yeah, I'm right on top of the hip bones here and here. And that's where they sit. And I know how to feel for them. I'm double checking my own work because that's pretty far off. And is there pain on the left side that shoots through here or the right side? From where the L5 sits on the sacrum, it's tilted. And there's a nerve that comes out of that space called the sciatic. And sometimes you'll have pain higher. And then especially, do you mind if you test yourself for pain right in the dimple in your buttocks? You usually do. And it doesn't take much pressure to find that. Okay. Because it's pinched at the top, it swells the nerve up all the way down, sometimes all the way down the leg, and it can shoot pain down the leg too. So thanks for coming up. I'm not done with you. I want to make sure if you go ahead and have a seat again, come on up. We're going to get everyone activated. And thank you. Mind if I check your hips too, the same way? Let's let the camera view see what's happening here. So put my hands on there. You're off the other side. You guys could walk down a sidewalk together and hold each other up. I'm glad that you're laughing. The Healing Power of Laughter. Anyone heard of that book? So you're the opposite way. Where's your pain? Have you checked? Your left side? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you don't know unless you check. No. It can be on either side. it doesn't matter always which direction the hips are. It can be on either side, especially how long has this been going on?
I would say maybe 2 years.
2 years. And the longer that happens, this is the foundation for the rest of the spine, is where the hips are. The lower lumbar and the rest of the spine can start going out of whack too, and can start putting pressure on the low side. So we don't know. We like to test. Will you test yourself for pain, either here or right in here, and see?
I do when I lay on a tennis ball, like right in
You do.
probably in the temple.
How's that going over?
Yeah.
So okay. You mind if we get you to sit down in this other chair here, and I want to test your everyone on this row, and you, if you'll all pull your feet up real quick. I'm just going to do a real quick run through. See where the pinkies are. Can you see how this one looks shorter? And well, this one looks quite shorter on that. Yeah. And this one's a little bit, not much to really jump up and down about, but here, you're pretty level there. This, see how short that side looks? Look at the tip of the pinkies. Not bad, that's a tiny bit. Pretty even. Not bad for the neck. Not too bad for the neck. Pretty good. Well, this side looks a little bit, but it's hard. It's I think I'd rather you sit on a harder chair too sometimes. Now see the knees, if they're already together and the feet are apart, we don't try to force them together because we don't want to break their knees. So, but just get the best level view I can, and if I can't bring them together to see better, that's fine. I wish I can't get them very close to really sell. We're kind of just eyeballing this, so that one's a little bit there. How are you doing over here? So real quick, I'm putting my thumb right under the ankle bones on some of these too. A little short there. Oh, see that side short? So, okay, I'm back. Now, what I'm going to also say is I've proven that infants in the womb, they get every word and every emotion of what we can intend to give them. And that is something that I've been having a lot of experience with. It's taken 23 years to see where they're at by the time they're 22. And not knowing quite what the results were going to be, but just thinking, you know what? We think we understand these principles. Let's put them into action and see what we can do. Before it was actually proven. They're born with their eyes open. By the time they were old enough to enter spelling bees, which is like 4 years old, they're winning first place. Straight A students. We found out that we can upload languages like the English language and gift of languages while they're in the womb once the brain hits a certain stage of development, and that can happen very, very quickly. What I'm about ready to demonstrate is over 2 hours worth of conscious data, very well scripted, in a split second subconsciously. And that's what I've done already here just through the eyes. But now I'm going to do it using another window to the soul, other than the eyes. And this is very duplicatable. But if I do it for you, we all have filters so that we're not permanently affected by just whatever anybody happens to be thinking, because it's not all positive, for one thing. So those filters, that means, by my experience, this programming typically for most people, most audiences, lasts for about an hour for the person. If they learn how to do it for themselves, And I've already told you how to come to this time and space, even after this. If you can tune in to the timestamp here of what's happening, or about what's about to happen, and what the whole process will be. And we're going to take every word and we're going to keep activating it. Every emotion, everything that's positive for our positive spiritual and physical evolution of ourselves and others. And we're going to continue to activate it over and over again. So, are you ready? Can I get you to say, show me the power? Are you watching closely? And I'm not talking about with your physical eyes. Done. Come on up again. Whose hips were so far off. If this worked for you, I think it will help anybody. Go ahead and face this way. Check that out. I've been doing this for many years. Go ahead and sit down. Wait, before you go, most of the pain disappears as soon as we level off the hips, because the most of the time, unless bones are fused or something, that will happen. And bones fused could prevent the hips from leveling off. There's not very many people out there who have to worry about that, even. But as soon as we take the pressure off the nerve, most of the pain disappears. And then after another 3 to 5 minutes, even more of the residual pain tends to just disappear, because it takes, the nerve can still be, having some residual swelling in it that's dissipating out once it's not pinched anymore. But what I'd like to ask you is if you can test for where the pain was, if you notice any difference. Yeah? Okay, thank you. So, go ahead and have a seat again. Was that kind of cool? Anyone ever experienced that before? Well, it's kind of a unique thing, but the thing is, it is duplicatable. With 100% success, you can do this just as fast and easy for yourself, and even others through the eyes, as what I just did with a group here. And for those who, this is kind of experimental. I'm looking forward to the reports, and I think I'm in the right space to really have this happening for the first time in history. I'm looking forward for the reports of people who are able to come back to the broadcast, or even who have been here and watched it come to this time and space to receive it, to see what kind of results can be generated from this. So sometimes you don't know what you can do, and like I said, it's a new set of instructions. Put our reputations on the line sometimes, but this is something that I've done for many years. It's been proving that all chiropractics ought to be teaching how to turn on our energy centers. For years, they've been taught through all time, it seems, that there have been masters in each lineage that have known how to do this. So now I'm going to take and add this to a meditation. And if you'll go back also with where we were, have the intention to also add every word of the meditation that led to this, before I even started speaking, with what this event was about, including the help of the angels and the masters, the ascended masters in our space. And if you can close your eyes and focus on your breath and go back to that space, into the light, the brightest light you can imagine. And in that light, it contains the pure intelligence of God and Goddess, masculine and feminine, as well as the pure love of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within that light. Charity, has been known for that pure love, as one of the names for that pure love. And I think that every word in every language, since they all have signatures depending on their definitions. And it doesn't matter what language. If they have the same definitions, they have the same energy signatures. So there's a connection between the energy and the intelligence. The intelligence is where, what? The head. The energy representing the heart. You've heard with love and light. And that's the heart and the head. How about knowledge and power? There's the head and the heart. Intelligence and energy, head and the heart. Clarity and charity. And they're inseparable. The clarity and the charity, the knowledge and the power. You can't have one without the other. It's inherent within the system. And here we are, a temple of clarity. So, visualizing that pure white light, full of the pure intelligence, pure love of the divine, growing brighter and gradually descending through your crown, helping you understand even further, so we're always learning, even further, the way that divine masculine and feminine of source, including all of our team, and all of the angels and masters, how they think and feel about you all the time. Understanding that, gradually descending further into your throat and down into your chest, helping you feel the way that they feel about you all the time, and that light growing brighter down through your abdomen, helping you understand, feel, and know the way they understand, feel, and know you all the time. Growing brighter, expanding, and down through your hips and your legs, on from head to toe, bathing you and expanding out. 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cleansing, purifying everything that makes you what you are and who you are. Now, with the power of your intention, we're including all of our spoken and non-spoken, because we didn't have time to even verbalize what you had, that data transfer that I did. It's not necessary to verbalize everything all the time. We just, in the interest of time, have the power of intention to now direct that pure white light into all the minerals of the earth, into every crystal and every metal, every rock, every pebble, throughout every hill, valley, mountain, from pole to pole, above as well as below, with the intention of negating, neutralizing, and eliminating any of their negative intelligence and energy with the power of the divine and every word that's been spoken tonight, spoken and non-spoken, every emotion, to recreate all of their individual, perfect divine blueprints of intelligence and energy that matches completely their entire tree of life, which is just, life is made of systems. Each system has a certain amount of laws. And when we're in alignment with those, we get the fruit of the tree of life in that aspect of our life. There's much more science about this and details about this in the Laws of Empowerment program, but they also reciprocate that intelligence and energy back through to us. And in the beginning was the Word. The whole creation. Things are created on an intelligence and energy and spiritual level before they're manifested physically. As that's flowing back through to you, the power of your intention, again, pure white light with a divine and feminine and masculine intelligence and energy, that pure love, pure intelligence, directed off to all the waters of the earth throughout every form of water that we have. We have the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Oceans, throughout every ocean, throughout all the lakes, above and below ground, the aquifers and underground rivers, whether the waters are salt water, fresh water, or brackish, which is a mix. In every form of water, whether it's actual liquid or vapor or gas or steam. And within everything, from pole to pole, above as well as below, with the intention of negating, neutralizing, eliminating, and purifying and cleansing any of its energy and intelligence incompatibilities that aren't resonating with that pure love and the pure intelligence of the divine from the source of all creation. And recreate with its positive opposites of any of those areas that aren't in alignment with any of their individual blueprints from wherever they are, of their individual perfect divine blueprints of their tree of life. Recreate all of the perfect intelligence and energy for them. Their perfect divine blueprints being recreated right from the source of all the pure love and intelligence that's flowing. They also reciprocate that back through to you. All the waters and all the minerals of the earth are also continuing to reciprocate that. And we're going to add an intention to let this continue, this reciprocation, with every breath that you take, with every beat of your heart, with every electrical impulse in your body. As that's flowing, have the power of intention now to direct that pure white light to the power of the sun, which governs our day, and the moon, which governs our night. And not only our sun over our solar system, but our sun's sun over our galaxy, and our sun's sun's sun over our universe, as well as all the suns and all of the planets and moons throughout the multiverse, the intention to have this pure white, pure love, pure intelligence with every word of this evening, and spoken and not spoken, and every positive emotion that is for our transformation, individually and collectively, to negate, neutralize, eliminate any of their individual adverse influences of intelligence or energy, and recreate their positive tree of life, perfect divine blueprints for each of them individually. And that all flows back through from the multiverse, through our galaxy, through our solar system, right back through to you. Have the intention now to direct the pure white light, pure intelligence and energy to all of the plants throughout this world, from the smallest blade of grass to the tallest redwood tree and everything in between. Every herb, every flower, every grain, every vegetable, every fruit, every single plant, above as well as below, from pole to pole, throughout the green belts, throughout the most desolate desert, throughout the entire world, with the intention of negating, neutralizing, eliminating any of their individual adverse influences of intelligence and energy, whatever doesn't resonate with their perfect divine blueprints, with the fruit of the tree of life, with each of them individually, and shift that with that pure love, pure intelligence, to create their perfect fruit, making them whole and complete and thriving wherever they may have been abused, from wherever it has come from. Just a side note, Monsanto may not want people to know that after 7 generations, plants go back to heirloom, that that's been happening. Because they didn't change the spiritual DNA. They just changed the physical. So it's been happening. After about 7 generations, plants are going back to heirloom. It's good news for us. We can maybe accelerate that with this. Right? As the plants also reciprocate that pure love and light. With every breath of your body, every beat of your heart. Allow that to continue. Now, with the power of your intention, direct that pure white light off to every creature. Everything that runs, hops, swims, flies, crawls. Every creature in the world. The eagles and condors, the smallest hummingbird. Everything from the smallest microbial even to insects, to the largest elephants, rhinos, everything in between. In the sea, we have the same thing. Everything that swims, up the smallest all the way to the great white, and the whales, orcas, dolphins. Animals are very intuitive. They have a big heart, and it makes them intuitive because of it. They know as soon as we shift our intention, they're aware of it instantly in either direction. And they also reciprocate this pure love and pure light. And with your intention of negating, neutralizing, eliminating any of their adverse influences of intelligence and energy and within their individual lives and systems, and shifting anything that doesn't serve them into its perfect divine blueprint of health, intelligence, energy, maximum thriving capacity. We have a symbiotic relationship with everything that we've been discussing, especially here on this planet. But what would we do without a sun or a moon? We have a symbiotic relationship with each other also. And this next step I do with a bit of an insurance policy, because we all have freedom of choice. It's very important. We don't give something to someone against their will. We're not here to force anyone. And we do have something that is very powerful and very, very empowering, that is, versus the opposite is disempowering. This is empowering. This is healing. It's the intention that you can send a little message off. This is for their optimum health, intelligence, and energy. And for those who are willing to give you a green light, a yes, go ahead and send every word from this evening. Have the intention, every word spoken and not spoken, starting with those who are closest to you, like your children and your parents, close life partners, spouses, to negate, neutralize, eliminate any of their intelligence and energy incompatibilities, and reestablish all the intelligence and energy of their individual divine blueprints, tree of life, mentally, emotionally, physically, everything about them that makes them who they are and what they are, to be brought into alignment with the actual laws of nature, of how we all work. We're going to add an intention with every parent-child or teacher-student relationship that any of the programming that hasn't been in alignment with manifesting what we are meant to manifest now. In every leader position, which is also another type of student or teacher, any adult-child relationships, and in any time and in any place where we have been throughout all of existence, compressing all the past and all the future. It's all happening right now. And it doesn't matter where any of your ancestors may be or when. Send it off to your parents and their parents with also the intention to negate, neutralize, eliminate any attitude issues which may have gotten in the way. For example, in business, some people think, I don't know if I can share it because you might have to work twice as hard just to keep up. That's why they call it trade, the secrets of the trade secrets, right? People try to keep them secret. But this, what I want you to do is negate that. Think of what we can create when we're all sharing at a higher level. With the intention to help people become even greater than what we ourselves may have been able to achieve. The even greater things ye shall do is one of the traits of an empowered leader. That attitude. And also the roles we play as a student, that we can always honor those who have been teachers and empowerers in our life, spiritually and in every other way, whether it's in business, in our personal homes, every aspect of our lives. With this intention, this is what we're doing now. We're letting go of all the things that haven't served us, whatever form they may have taken, thoughts and emotions. And we're sending this through our family lines too, and specifically seeking out any areas where we might need to still find where something originated from, to that, eventually back to that lineage. The intention to help them with the same message, only if you get green lights from our parents to their parents, to their parents, all the way back to our first parents, and not just in this realm, not just for this particular planet. From other places where we may have come from, other systems and other lives, all the way back. So we can see it's been the same principles all along. Nature hasn't really changed much. The laws of nature have been the same. That we can integrate our self-service with serving others with balance, because it's easier to serve someone when we don't have to worry about ourselves, when ourselves are taken care of. And that's the whole purpose. And yet, if we're not able to help reach out for those who need it, we're not going to be able to create the world of health and peace that we all have been dreaming and hoping about. All the way back to our source, from the very beginnings, from our Creator, with the help of all of our angels, all time, not just His story, history, what we may even understand, but just all possibility of where things really need to be coming from. And that also flows back from source, from our origins. Reciprocates all the way back from all the people who've said yes, who are willing to say yes now to every word, spoken and unspoken, including the instant mass healing demo. And have the intention to let that continue with every beat of your heart. To remember how the divine masculine and feminine thinks about you all the time, and everyone that you meet, even. Their divine is still there. What's ready? Let that continue with every breath that you take, every beat of your heart, and every electrical impulse in your body. and a word of integration, a full integration intention, like the I am, the ahi, soha, svaha, swaha. In every language, I found that one of the most important definitions of that is the full integration intention of the I am, a full acceptance. So come into a place within yourself where you can really integrate now every word, every emotion. That is the Amen. As we get our subconscious programmed this way, we literally are praying always. How are we doing? It's good, beautiful space. Feel that buzz? How many of you feel a bit of a charge? Wow, thank you. That's something that I never even shared with my father, by the way. And after he died, it hit me. He was my greatest mentor from the light, physically. And called a couple of his sisters, which were also pretty great, and started sharing it, found ways to open up and share it with them first. And as I came up with a qualification system, because I felt like I felt it was necessary, what I realized the more I did that, every single person who was coming to me was already pre-qualified. So you don't have to worry about it. And it is time. We got a new set of instructions. Thank you.
If anybody has any questions for you, is it okay if we have a question and answer?
Totally.
Chloe, if you don't mind coming to the microphone, because
how is this different from just prayer and or like quantum jump?
Well, every thought that you add or take away makes it different. So some prayers have a little something else, a little something different. One of the things I did also at the tail end, I added a couple other words of power, like took the whole Anabacoic and in a word of power and instantly ran that into it. I took the whole Yusnisa Vijaya, which is another it's the most powerful spiritual purification and empowerment prayer that I've ever found for me when I do a lot of hands-on healing events. When we're dealing with the physical, we're also running into whatever they got going on spiritually, right? So I was, prior to that, just doing my best to clean up, but there's always this certain level that I just couldn't go past until I found that particular one, and then just whole other new level of purification for me. So there's a few things that even those have a little bit something extra. Those are also added to the empowerment for tonight. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah, right.
But just get down to the level that I kind of can't understand is, are you using certain energies to get these healings going? And is there any way to ramp up that energy?
Yeah. So, simple-minded person, thank you for bringing this in, because you got a smartphone, right?
Yes.
And you can click on a logo that will run a program. How simple is that? So that is very much a good example of the level that you can learn how to achieve. There's something that Christ was doing that was called a paradosis. And he also did things that like made blind people see, and people thought it was the mud on the eyes because that's what they could see. But most of what he was doing, in my experience, was unseen. And I go to, I've given a gift, like the laws of empowerment, that goes into details on a lot of this. And one of the things I mention is Christ's version of that is his most famous sermon, the Sermon on the Mount, which includes the Beatitudes. And within that, in the Matthew version, Matthew 5, verse 19, he said something very important. He said, if any man doesn't live by even the least of these things and teaches other men it's okay not to live by even the least of these things, he shall be named the least in the kingdom of heaven. Now that alone, then he says, but who he that doeth them. We take the first part of that, who doesn't, that blows most dominant religions' theories right out of the water. It's really mastery level stuff. And even Christian religions, it blows their theories right out of the water. It comes back to, it is the simple things that are the most powerful things. How effortless was it for me to, it's in a snap of a finger is how fast it happens. It's in a split second, the activation that I do, but it's like pushing that button for me. I teach people how to do it. It's duplicatable. And when Christ would do it, he would just give a simple set of instructions to teach people how. And with other people around who didn't want to have hear, he just whispered the words in the ears of the person who he was sharing the secret. Have you ever heard The Secret Doesn't Impress Anyone? With there's a movie out there. Was it the Prestige? Are you familiar with that? A couple of magicians competing against each other. One of them out in the street shared a secret to one of the magic tricks to one of the kids on the street who was just kind of glued to him after he saw some of the stuff that he just did, something that he shared for the kids. And he said, okay, he taught him how, and then he said, but don't give up the secret because the secret impresses no one. Now, those secrets are available now faster and easier than ever before. I've shared several aspects of secrets to what I'm talking about already here. And some of them I dangle like a carrot to help people, because this isn't just a fix-all for everything. There are a lot of other things, and everything works together. It integrates with everything that you can learn how to do. And so I don't like to turn anybody away due to financial circumstances. I make it there's always been a way for everyone to achieve whatever they decide. There'll be a way to help you do it just as fast and easy as I can. That's what I'm telling you. I have a process where I've had 100% success. And it is a form of a paradosis where, that's just one of the words that's an ancient word, like words of power. Most of the ones that have been known are ones that have existed for thousands of years. And I'm giving you a little peek at something different on how to create words of power. And if you can create one, you can create an infinite number of them. And so it's like a computer program.
That's great for you, okay? I'm an old timer. You're talking about these modern phones.
Do you have a smartphone?
It's fairly smart.
Okay. Do you have a flip phone?
I'm just getting out of my real dial phone.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's move on to the next question that I'm confused about. Light. The purest white light. There are all types of lights. What enlightenment?
Yeah. Like the brightest pure white light that you can think of. And then what we bring into that, it's energy. It's very powerful energy. And it's source energy too. If we yeah.
Source, God, you're talking about?
I'm talking about, yes. I'm talking about God and goddess and gods, plural. And it's interesting. Even the first of the 10 Commandments, to have no other gods before me, was actually acknowledgement of the existence of other gods. But the whole, I get into it in the laws of empowerment, the history of the theologies from especially Greek. They were doing the best they could to understand different aspects of the divine. But it was a this or that attitude instead of some of it involved that, just to focus in, instead of how does it all work together? The big picture of all of the aspects, which is more integrated, and everything leads, more and more people are becoming, it's a fact, more integrated, more interfaith. That is where things lead, and there was something called a gathering. Like the gathering is bigger and better than what we thought and what we were taught. It's not what we were taught. It's way bigger and better than what we were taught. And I don't even claim to have all the answers for that, but I think I'm showing a bit more of that, of what I'm giving you to take home. It's going to help start to expand your understanding, even how you develop positive or negative in a very basic way. It's going to go into to where you do have a higher level, like a higher realm level of understanding how you can do that. And at the same time, it's going to make it much more simple. One of the problems people have is the just give it to me in simplicity attitude, like the keep it simple, stupid. Well, I can do that, but I'll keep you simple and stupid at the same time. Well, I give it in simplicity in the beginning as much as possible, yeah. And then I take people right out of their comfort zone and expand their level of intelligence, because only then do they really get it more simple and more powerful. And it is the subtle, it gets more and more to understanding how important it is, that power of the word. It's also the root of the whole, where all magic comes from, is also connected to the word. And it's not just about this or that. It's how everything works together to really see it all, to integrate it all. We become more of a multidimensional being. We increase our capacity because we get upgrades. The more you really spend time even here and with your own personal angels, you integrate more and more of them until you can integrate all of Michael the Archangel. You can integrate all of whoever you're meant to. You can be a multidimensional being. I think maybe Dennis might be able to elaborate even on that one. I don't claim to have all the answers. I've become, in my development, I had a father who luckily was pretty open-minded. I remember showing a picture of the many arms with a different tool in each hand representing, the Eastern figure. It actually, I learned, is a representation, another type of representation of the tree of life. And yet, when I asked my mother about it when I was little, she had a different attitude, old school. We don't even talk about that in this house. That's of the... she tried to say it was from something lower. She didn't understand. By the time she died, I was able to talk to her about all of those things. And I kind of felt like, I don't know, if you watch the movie Waterboy. Yeah, from his mama. Anyway, my mother, I got her to the point that I could talk to her about any of this stuff, whether it was reincarnation topics or anything that were typically not allowed when I was young, at least not with her. Yet my father, he was a little bit different and lucky. He'd say, you know what, we don't put all your faith in certain things, observe them, get everything you can out of them. There's a lot out there. And it's good to be a bit guarded. It's one of the things I talk about in the laws of empowerment as you're first developing. It's okay not to take everything that I say for face value just because I said it at all. It's perfectly normal for you to take where you're at. You don't need to take anything that just because it was said and just believe it. But you'll find a way to put principles in action and get the fruit. And that's one of the oldest teachings that we were ever taught, right? Science says put the laws in action and measure the results, but things are discovered intuitively way before they're proven scientifically, and this is something even Einstein said. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift. The rational mind, a faithful servant. We've created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. That's a quote from Einstein. He recognized, and most of the great minds of the world, they actually are all recognizing the power of that intuition. Usually things are discovered intuitively, and Native Americans had intuitives that could see in the body. Just like other cultures, we know that there are seers. There are visionaries who can see on both sides of the veil. My grandmother on my mother's side was born seeing on both sides until someone told her, "You're not supposed to be able to do that." And she can never do it again. It got in her head that it wasn't something that she should do. And that changed everything for her. And it's kind of a crime because they literally took a gift away. Because it was somebody who was an authority figure.
Now, you from being a Native American,
Yeah.
would you say Native Americans were far ahead of culture when it comes to medicine?
Some of them, yeah, they called the lymphatic system the great white bloodstream. And it wasn't just blood that came out of Christ's side. It was lymph also, that they call the water, the clear fluids in the body, they're lymph. There may be a few exceptions, but they're lymph fluid. And we have more lymph. We're mostly water, right? There's more lymph in the body than there is blood. More lymph vessels than blood vessels, but they're transparent. You can't see them with the naked eye. And have you ever heard out of sight, out of mind? There is some truth to that. But there are visionaries who could see in much more clearly right into the body, like medical intuitives is what we call them today. And they knew about the lymphatic system that they called the great white bloodstream way before it was actually known scientifically. There's this theory that came up with in the late 1800s by a guy named Dr. Starlings that started what is known as the Starlings hypothesis, which is that the albumin, which is the smallest blood protein, if you take a chicken egg, it's a stem cell surrounded by albumin and water, and it's loaded with nutrition, has everything that perfectly tuned genetically stem cell needs to create a whole living organism, heart beating and everything, without even any external source of oxygen. And I can explain why that is the case, because none is wasted. Superoxide dismutase, SOD, discovered 52 years ago by Dr. Joe McCord, it can recycle 1 million superoxides per second back to oxygen. And superoxide is what comes out the tailpipe from oxygen. It's oxygen missing an electron. And the body creates these, it's called the free radical, different free radicals out of different substances, and there's different superantioxidant enzymes that we're created with that can reconvert them back to their healthy molecule at 1 million per second. So when we're producing those, we have efficiency when we're not wasting any of that material. So the problem is after 20, there's a master protein that regulates those genes, keeps them tuned right, that stops doing its job more and more. And sometimes it starts failing earlier, even with children. Cancer is the #1 cause of death for children. And this master protein regulates every gene associated with every type of cancer and every disease mechanism. Where the drugs of the past target 1 out of 5,000, it does all 5,000. So it's 5,000 times more efficient than any of the drugs of the past. And it's prevented 100% of heart failure, where 100% has failed without it. And now fasting is a NRF2 activator. It's the name of the protein, NRF2. So fasting, how many of us can save money on our monthly bill and get healthier? It doesn't even cost anything to do. There's a lot of other things. There are herbs that are known more and more, different formulas that are able to activate it. Green tea, for example. And sulforaphane in cauliflower and broccoli is a NRF2 activator even. But there's a real simplicity built into the system. And I hope I'm not going too far off of your question when I start talking about the power of the cells, though. Everything, cellular physiology is the basis of all physiology. Yeah, it's going to get into detail. That first video that is there for you, if you just go home and watch it, it's going to answer a lot of your questions. You'll never look at the way you solve your health problems will never be the same.
Dr. Ez, do you have a website that you can tell the people online?
thelawsofempowerment.com. At least remember that one, because that's the gift that I'm giving you. And another thing that I can say is 0 to Z is not one that I necessarily want you to go to. Early 90s took on a name. I took on all the good names and every number from 0 to Z. And I'm duplicating myself, creating 0 to Z's. That's one of my main websites, ZeroDisease.com. Usually when I say zero to Z, people hear zero disease in that, right? And if I say sometimes zero disease, people just hear zero to Z. That's another one of it's actually one of my names. But
Can you spell
one
it?
of many, evidently. But so ZeroDisease, or you can use the numerical one, but I prefer to spell it out. I've got both of them. Oh, thelawsofempowerment.com. Remember to keep the word the on the front end of that. I prefer to have thelawsofempowerment.com than just laws of empowerment.
Now, Dr. Ezra, are you speaking at the expo this Sunday?
Yes.
And that's in Carlsbad, right?
And I'll be doing a little demo again. Not quite what I gave you here. This is something special, something that I thought, what could I share here? And if you do it with me in a meditation where that's what I'm doing that night, I get into more detail. Because I have more time to verbalize stuff. So especially on the front end, with what was done with just an instant mass healing, I like to take like 20 minutes at least and actually verbalize a lot of some of the coolest compilations of words that we found how to activate things. So you can get more on a conscious level. There's an audio series available on it. There's a bunch of videos in a Power Heal system that is my brand of healing techniques that's come out of the science. They're very simple, like take a deep breath. I don't have to guarantee it. If you took a full capacity breath, the lungs put pressure on the largest lymphatic vessel in the body and they make it shoot like a geyser, like an oil well. You can let it out. And it should be springing up into everlasting life with every deep breath that you take. It's your internal fountain of youth. The thoracic duct is the largest lymph vessel in the body, and it's at the base of that where Christ was pierced with the spear of destiny. Out came the blood and lymph. And it wasn't just a 3-inch veil of the temple that was rent, but the earth, the rocks were rent. It's also written. The earth opened up right at the base of the post hole. And the priest whose job it was to guard the ark, who knew where it was, right below, watched the blood and lymph drain right down that crack. And they went down and verified that it had actually caught the blood, which on the right side of the mercy seat, which is the side reserved for the blood of the Son of God, which is very interesting. All this is, sometimes can be very controversial talking about this. I'm a very interfaith minister, and I think that it's important to integrate the best of every lineage of their strengths, and they all have them. There's been a great fear that has been, most lineages have integrated within their teachings the fear that prevents a lot of people from doing that. But it's really important work. The laws of empowerment is extremely interfaith. It's not one-sided, although I was raised very strong Christian background. And it tends to be referenced, but it uses scripture like John chapter 10, verse 34, when one of the times they're picking up stones to stone Christ, he said, for blasphemy, he said, is it not written in your law, I said ye are gods? And he's quoting Proverbs, and I give that scripture too, the one that he's quoting from the Old Testament. Ye are gods. So the God and the goddess, we are duplications. What did I say? I'm zero to Z, and I'm duplicating myself. So we have zero disease out there. That's kind of an interesting thing. We're duplicating everything that we think, say, and do. Those around us, they pick up on that. We're duplicators, like big 3D printers that can print themselves. From the first cell, has the perfect 3D duplicating printer and we didn't create that. We can't claim credit for that. And it's really amazing, the power of those cells, and especially the stem cells, the most powerful regenerative cells in the body. And they create T cells when they get in the thymus gland, and B cells when they produce the lymphocyte in the bone marrow. That's where they get their names, T and B, from whether they're produced in the thymus or the bones. But there's all kinds of different lymphocytes that are made up of white blood cells. And you can't tell the difference between a white blood cell and a stem cell just by looking. They have to get them in and actually observe their behavior in a culture and or under a microscope, by certain behavior, then they know what they are. And if they start specializing, there's different phases of specializing. And in the very earliest part of that, there's 3 different categories of tissue they can create. So most stem cell technology is illegal because it's very dangerous. If you take and just put whatever stem cells into the kidneys, you can start producing skin in the kidneys. Or just throw them into the eyeball, you can start producing bone in the eyeball. That's just a little example of the actual reality of what's going on out there, and the reality of why most of the technologies are illegal. There are groups that have learned how to get things done right. I don't agree in putting someone else's blueprint in your body, because no matter how many years later you wait and get DNA tested, their DNA is going to show up in your DNA test. And it's not necessary. I believe all the science is pointing to you can produce your own stem cells. So what I've integrated into the instant mass healing and into the audio series, there's a stem cell technology where I reattached my PCL in my left knee. That was one of the 3 main ligaments in my knee. It was completely severed, pulled right out of its top insertion. And then when doctors were saying it would be impossible for me to reattach it without surgery, I did it over a quarter of a century ago. And getting more and more proof of things like that, I've helped do a lot of other things with power of adding stem cell knowledge to what we've been doing over a quarter of a century, helping reattach someone's right and left hemisphere of their brain after they were hit by a car. The neurons that connect them were severed. They said it would be impossible for them to ever even breathe on their own. They're on life support. Doctors plan on pulling the plug in 24 hours. On my birthday, 2.5 years ago, I put out a podcast where I went ahead and gave my best of what I'd learned how to heal everything from the neck up, and added an extra dose of the stem cell technology. And I have that same video. Within 24 hours later, they unplugged him, and he was breathing on his own. I have that same video in a membership area. So you can follow along, and you say, if you need things in simplicity, we do. We need to be walked through step by step and having experience. So I'm doing an advanced training at right after Conscious Life Expo before I go back to Maui in California, and I could do one further in this neighborhood in San Diego County between now and then if we have enough interest. But I'm coming back also. I'm a big traveler, so it's just what I do, travel and teach. So whoever helps set up the groups, that's where I go.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ez. We're out of time. We do have a couple of announcements, and I'd like to also get a group picture of everybody in front of Sonic Kamara and Lady Master Venus with Dr. Ez. I'll take some pictures. We will also be at the Whole Life Expo, or the
Conscious Life
Expo in Carlsbad. We have a booth, Lisa and I, and
or LA.
St. Eric.
There's a New Earth Expo on Sunday, this Sunday, in Carlsbad.
Sunday.
And then the Conscious Life, are you going to be at the
LA Expo
Holiday or the Hilton LAX?
I think we're at booth 307 in LA. So stop by, say hello. We will also be having a meditation retreat here on Valentine's weekend, and we have some flyers over there.
Which is right after Conscious Life Expo.
Yeah, so
2 weeks
it's a
away.
very,
Almost.
very powerful week of
Wow.
immersion into spirit. I hope everybody is diving deep at these opportunities. They come, and we have to take advantage of them.
And I'm sure you're going to be helping integrate the power of spiritual cleanliness and empowerment into our relationships for Valentine's Day because of who you are. I just know. That's beautiful.
Yes, it's
What
with
we're doing-
the
what you're
Divine
about here.
Mothers and of
Excellent.
beauty and grace. It's in the flyer. It's in the flyer.
It's what I
There'll
call
be
empowered
transmission.
intimacy versus disempowered intimacy. It's more of a fully integrated of really what we are spiritually. It's really most important.
So I went a little over tonight. There's a basket over there if you'd like to donate to the Temple of Clarity. There's some books over there from the Ascended Masters if you're interested in that. If I could get a picture of everybody tonight, this is such an awesome thing. Please come around
up.
Dr. Ez. He'll be doing some more transmissions. Stand next to him, and I'm going to take a couple pictures.
Three.
Come on,
Last time I was here, you were the guest speaker,
Mine.
and here we are.
I don't need to be back there.
Should I take this off?